Well, joining us now from London is Jonathan Cobb, who is from the World Nuclear Association. Thanks very much indeed for being with us on the programme today, Jonathan. So, nuclear technology somewhat fell out of favour after the Chernobyl and Fukushima nuclear accidents, but now it's back.
Yes, it is. And in fact, the amount of energy generated worldwide has been increasing over the last 7 or 8 years. Nuclear energy generates around 10.5% of the world's electricity. And that really needs to rise if we are going to decarbonise. So projects like the one announced today are really important in making progress on that.
So what are the advantages in this collaboration for both Russia and for China?
I think whenever you have a collaboration by this between two countries which have a lot of their own expertise in building nuclear power plants, you're getting an exchange of best practice, an ability to learn from each country's own way of doing things, finding out the best way of going forward. And of course, these kind of collaborations do also cement relationships between the two countries and between the companies involved. And that's a major step forward.
And you mentioned expertise there. Is there anything in particular that each country provides to the other?
Well, in these particular projects, one of them, the Tianwan site with units 7 and 8, there are already 6 reactors operating there, 4 Russian reactors and 2 Chinese reactors. And on that site, Russia will be bringing the equipment, they'll be working on the nuclear island, the foundations, and they'll also be supplying fuel to the reactor. On the other reactor site, where it's units 3 or 4 at Shadabao being built there, they will be providing a little bit more expertise in terms of supervising the project, supervising the commissioning of the reactors, because that's a new nuclear plant site where there are 2 Chinese reactors at the early stage of being constructed. But obviously there's less expertise in the area with projects such as this, and less history. So Russia will be bringing a bit more of a supervisory expertise to that project.
So how significant is this project and how significant is the timing of it?
I think it's a very significant project. There are 4 Russian design reactors running in China at the moment out of 50 reactors that there are in total. Those other reactors are a mix of Chinese-owned designs and also projects of collaboration that there have been with France, with Canada and with the US. But by the announcement of these 4 new reactors, that's doubling the number of commercial power reactors of Russian design that'll be under construction and then eventually in operation in China. And the timing is also very significant, I think, because it comes the day after the International Energy Agency launched their net zero by 2050 report. That called for an almost immediate cessation of construction of unabated coal-fired power plants and much greater investment into all low-carbon technologies, but in particular looking at nuclear energy supplying perhaps 1/10 of the world's electricity in 2050. So these 4 reactors are a good contribution to achieving that target. But many more will be needed. Maybe 1,000 will be needed by 2050, 1,000 new reactors, if we're going to achieve that net zero target.
So how does this all feed into China's goal of carbon neutrality by 2060?
Well, it is very much part of that goal. China has a good history in building nuclear power plants and other low-carbon generation forms as well. So large hydro, solar and wind are all expanding in China along with nuclear energy. So these are all contributions to getting towards decarbonising. China is looking to cap its emissions around 2030 and then to reduce them down to net zero by 2060. So these projects all contribute to that. On their own, they're very large zero carbon power generation projects, but many, many more will be needed over the next decades in order to achieve that long-term goal.
Jonathan Cobb, great to get your thoughts today. Thanks very much indeed for joining us on the programme.
Thank you.
4 rockets